Before getting into this breaking story, take a moment to support the channel. Hit the subscribe button, press like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, and this community grows stronger every time you join the conversation. Now, let's get straight to the news that is shaking the world tonight. Tonight, the world is watching the ocean with fear and confusion. Reports are coming in that a United States Navy vessel may have come under missile attack. The details are still coming together, but one thing is clear. This moment has sent shockwaves through governments, military leaders, and ordinary people across the globe. In Washington, alarms started ringing the moment the first reports reached the Pentagon. Military officials moved quickly, trying to confirm exactly what happened. Was this a real attack? Was it a warning? Or was it the beginning of something far more dangerous? The United States Navy is one of the most powerful forces on Earth. Its ships patrol oceans across the world every single day. These ships are built to defend, to protect trade routes, and to respond to threats before they grow out of control. But tonight, the question many are asking is simple and chilling. How did an American naval vessel become the target of missiles? Early information suggests the incident happened in a tense region where military activity has been rising for weeks. Warships from several countries have been operating in nearby waters. Fighter jets have been flying overhead. Tensions were already high before this moment. Now the situation feels very different, because when missiles are involved, everything changes. Within minutes of the reports, security teams inside the White House rushed to brief President Donald Trump. Sources say the president was immediately informed about the possible attack and the condition of the Navy vessel involved. And according to those early reports, the president's reaction was one of shock. Not anger first, not even immediate orders. Shock, because a missile strike against a U.S. Navy ship is not a small incident. It is something that could quickly pull entire nations toward confrontation. Around the world, military analysts are already asking the same question. Was this a mistake? Or was it a message? As more information began to flow into Washington, the situation started to look even more serious. Officials inside the Pentagon began reviewing radar data, satellite images, and communications from the ship itself. Every second of information matters in a moment like this. Military commanders need to know exactly what they are dealing with. Did the missiles come from land, from another ship, or from a hidden launcher somewhere in the region? Each answer carries very different consequences. If the missiles came from a nation's military forces, the political pressure for a response could grow very fast. If the attack came from a smaller group or militia, the situation becomes even more complicated, because that means the threat could be harder to track and harder to stop. Meanwhile, naval commanders in the region immediately changed their positions. Ships moved, aircraft launched, defense systems were placed on high alert. The United States Navy trains constantly for moments like this. Radar systems scan the sky every second. Missile defense systems stand ready to intercept incoming threats. Crews are trained to respond in seconds, not minutes. But the biggest question tonight is still unanswered. Why did this happen? Back in the White House, President Trump was briefed again as new information arrived. Advisors gathered in secure rooms. Military leaders spoke directly with commanders in the region. Sources say the president asked one question. The United States Navy has faced danger many times in history, but every new threat carries its own risks, especially in today's tense global environment. Right now, military experts are focusing on the type of missile that may have been used. Modern missiles can travel incredibly fast. Some move at several times the speed of sound. Others can fly low over the water, making them harder to detect. These weapons are designed to challenge even the most advanced naval defenses, and that is why the current reports have caused such deep concern. If a missile was truly fired at a U.S. Navy ship, someone made a decision to cross a very serious line. Inside defense circles, analysts are now studying the possible motives. Was it a deliberate strike meant to send a signal to the United States? Was it an attempt to test American defenses? Or could it have been a miscalculation during an already tense standoff in the region? Each possibility leads to a different path forward. President Trump's administration now faces a moment where caution and strength must be balanced very carefully. As night falls in Washington, intelligence agencies are working at full speed. Signals are being intercepted. Satellite images are being examined. Military commanders are speaking with allied forces stationed nearby. Every piece of information is being collected and studied. The goal is simple but urgent: determine exactly who launched the missiles and why. But in the modern world, answers do not always come quickly. Conflicts today often involve multiple actors, hidden networks, and complicated political tensions. Sometimes the truth is buried beneath layers of misinformation and confusion. That is why leaders around the world are being careful with their public statements tonight. No one wants to make the wrong move based on incomplete information. At the same time, global markets are reacting. Investors are watching the news closely. Energy prices are beginning to shift. When military tensions rise near major sea routes, the entire world economy can feel the pressure. Shipping lanes carry goods, fuel, and food across the planet. A crisis involving naval forces in these waters could affect far more than just military strategy. It could affect everyday life for millions of people. Inside the White House, President Trump is reportedly staying in close contact with military commanders, advisors from defense. The story now entering the global conversation is no longer just about a single incident at sea. It is about what that moment could lead to. Military historians often point out that major conflicts sometimes begin with events that at first seem small or unclear. A misunderstanding, a sudden strike, a moment where two sides interpret the same event in very different ways. That is why the current situation is being treated with such seriousness. President Trump's reaction has already become a major topic among political leaders and security experts. Reports suggest the president demanded immediate answers from military commanders and intelligence agencies. What exactly happened? Was the ship hit? Was the missile intercepted? And most important of all, who launched it? These questions are now shaping the decisions that may follow. Allies of the United States are expressing support and offering intelligence assistance. Several countries with naval forces in the region have increased their own alert levels, because if one Navy ship becomes a target, others could be at risk as well. At the Pentagon, planning teams are already preparing possible responses if the attack is confirmed and responsibility is identified. Those responses could range from diplomatic pressure to military action. But tonight, the world remains in a moment of waiting. Waiting for confirmation, waiting for answers. As the hours pass, the tension surrounding this incident is only growing stronger. Military tracking systems across the region are now watching the skies and the sea with extreme caution. Radar screens are full of moving signals. Naval commanders are studying every ship, every aircraft, and every unusual movement near the area where the reported missile attack took place. Because in moments like this, the biggest fear is not just what already happened. The biggest fear is what could happen next. Inside the Pentagon, senior defense officials are now speaking directly with commanders on the ships stationed nearby. Warships are adjusting their positions carefully. Fighter jets are flying patrol routes above the water, ready to respond if another threat appears. And behind all of these actions lies one simple goal: prevent the situation from exploding into something far worse. Meanwhile, reports say President Donald Trump has continued receiving updates through the night. National security advisors, military chiefs, and intelligence experts are all presenting their assessments. Sources close to the situation say the president appeared deeply concerned as he reviewed the early intelligence. Because when a missile is launched toward an American warship, it sends a signal to the entire world. It says while investigators work to uncover the truth, political leaders across the globe are beginning to react. Allied nations have already started contacting Washington, offering support and asking for briefings. Many of these countries have their own naval forces operating in nearby waters, which means the safety of their sailors could also be at stake. Diplomats are now working around the clock. Phones are ringing in foreign ministries. Emergency meetings are being scheduled. Because when a major military power faces a possible attack, the entire international system begins to shift. At the same time, intelligence agencies are searching for patterns that might explain the strike. They are studying past threats, recent warnings, and any signals that may have been missed before this moment. Was there a buildup that pointed toward this attack? Or did it happen suddenly, without warning? If the attack was planned, investigators will look for signs of preparation. Missile launches leave traces. Radar systems capture movements. Satellites often see what human eyes cannot. Somewhere in that mountain of data, the truth may be waiting. Back in Washington, the pressure as new intelligence arrives, defense analysts are beginning to discuss several possible scenarios. One possibility is that the missile launch was meant as a warning. In tense regions of the world, some groups sometimes use limited attacks to send political messages. These actions are designed to test reactions without triggering a full war. Another possibility is far more dangerous. The missile strike could have been an intentional attempt to damage or destroy a U.S. Navy ship. If that turns out to be true, the consequences could be enormous. International law treats attacks on military vessels as acts of aggression. And when the target is the United States Navy, the political pressure for a response becomes extremely powerful. That is why military leaders are being very careful tonight. No one wants to rush toward a decision that could push several nations into open conflict. At the same time, naval forces in the region are not taking any chances. Missile defense systems are fully active. Radar operators are watching every second. While governments focus on the military side of this story, ordinary people across the world are watching with growing concern. For many families in the United States, the news carries a deeply personal weight. Thousands of American sailors are stationed on ships across the globe. Their families wake up every morning hoping their loved ones remain safe. Tonight, many of those families are glued to television screens and phones, waiting for updates. Because when the words missile attack appear in the news, the fear becomes very real. At the same time, economic experts are warning that military tensions in key sea regions can have global effects. Major shipping routes pass through these waters. Oil tankers, cargo ships, and supply vessels move through these channels every single day. If the situation becomes unstable, those routes could face disruption. And when shipping routes are threatened, the ripple effects can reach every corner of the global economy. Fuel prices could shift. Trade could slow. Markets could react with sudden uncertainty. All of this. Tonight's events have created one of the most serious questions facing global security in recent years. Did someone intentionally attack a United States Navy ship? Or did something else happen in those tense waters? Investigators are moving carefully, verifying every report before making public statements. In moments like this, even a small mistake in the facts can lead to major consequences. That is why officials are urging patience while the investigation continues. Still, one thing is already certain. This incident has captured the full attention of the world. President Donald Trump now faces a defining moment in his leadership. The choices made in the coming hours and days could shape the direction of this crisis. Military commanders are ready. Diplomats are working. Intelligence agencies are searching for the truth. And out on the ocean, American sailors remain on watch beneath dark skies, knowing the entire world is paying attention to what happens next. For now, the world waits, waiting for confirmation,